Okay, boys and girls, thank you so much for your patience today. We would have read this in the Zoom meeting, but I'm going to read it to you now. And here's what I want you to be thinking about when you read this story. What does the author want us to learn? This book is called This Is Our House. It's by Michael Rosen, illustrated by Bob Graham. We might revisit this book later. So today what I want to do is I'm just going to ask a couple questions throughout, but the main thing I want you to do is just focus on the story, and so we can read the story and get familiar with what the story is about. All right, this is our house. I wonder what this story is going to be about. I see the word house, but you know, it's kind of hard. I don't see a big house like a regular house. What I see is a cardboard box that kind of looks like a house. I see lots of kids on the front cover. They look like they're playing. Hi, Zoe. This is my dog, Zoe. Let's keep reading. So I don't know if you can see it from there, but it looks like a lot of apartment buildings and then a little playground. I noticed that the illustrator didn't color in the buildings, but did color in the playground, which makes me think the illustrator wants me to pay special attention to the playground. This is Our House by Michael Rosen, illustrated by Bob Graham. George was in the house. "This house is mine and no one else is coming in," George said. "It's not your house, George," said Lindy. "It belongs to everybody." "No, it doesn't," said George. "This house is all for me." Oh, George is not being very kind. Lindy and Marley went for a walk over to the swings. "It's not George's house, is it?" said Lindy. "Of course it isn't," said Marley. Lindy and Marley looked in the window. "It's not your house, George, and we're coming in." "Oh, no, you're not," said George. "This house isn't for girls." I don't know if I'd even want to be in George's house. Freddie was walking past with Rabbity. "I've come to put Rabbity to bed," said Freddie. "You can't," said George. "This house isn't for small people like you." Oh, that is so rude, George. I'm noticing that the illustrator did the same thing now that he did at the beginning of the book. You remember when he didn't color in the apartment buildings, but he did color in the playground? Look here and see what you notice. I see the same thing. The kids are blacked out, but the two characters talking are colored in. Interesting how the illustrator helps tell the story that way, without even using words. Let's keep reading. Freddie took Rabbity for a car ride in the car. Charlene and Marlene fixed the front wheel. "George won't let me and Rabbity in the house," said Freddie. Charlene and Marlene, Freddie and Rabbity headed straight for the house. "Stop right there," said George. What do you think George is going to say? "We're coming in to fix the fridge," said Charlene and Marlene. Oh, no, you're not," said George. "This house isn't for twins." Wow, George is making a lot of rules. Luther's jumbo jet landed in the house. I don't know if you can see it, but his jet landed right there. There's the tail of the plane. He went to go get it. "Where do you think you're going?" said George. This picture now. "Flight 505 has crashed," said Luther, "and I'm coming in for the rescue. Fire, fire, wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo." "Oh, you're not coming in here," said George. Oh no, he's putting his hands on the friend. Ugh, I don't know if I like that choice. Luther radioed for help. "Calling Dr. Dr. Sophie! Calling Dr. Sophie! Oh, can I help you? Said Sophie. They've got one of those cool telephone cans. They're talking through the cans. We can't get at the plane, Doctor, said Luther. Leave it to me, said Sophie. Sophie and Luther pushed through the crowd. Make way for the doctor, said Luther. We're coming in, said Sophie. Here they come. They're coming up to the house. I wonder what George is going to say. Oh, no, you're not, said George. Of course he did. This house isn't for people with glasses. George, not for twins, not for small people, not for people with glasses. Rashida had a plan. I'm going to tunnel in. She poked her head under the house. Go away, said George. This is my house. Well, this is my tunnel, said Rashida. Well, tunnel somewhere else, said George. This house isn't for people who like tunnels. Oh my goodness, if he keeps going with this, he's going to get rid of the whole neighborhood. Not a very inclusive house. It was getting very noisy around the house now, and hot. And George wanted to go to the bathroom. I'm going to leave my house now, said George. Ooh, this is in all caps, so I think the author wants me to say this really loud. And no one can go in it when I'm gone. George went to the bathroom. Lindy, Marley, Freddie, Rabbity, Marlene, Charlene, Luther, Sophie, and Rashida went straight into the house. George came back. Well, there was no room for George. This house isn't for people with red hair, said Charlene. How do you think George feels now? George started to shout. George started to cry. George started to stamp his feet and kick the wall. Then he stopped. He looked. This house is for people with red hair, said George. And for girls and small people and twins and for people who wear glasses and like tunnels. George realized there is enough room for everybody in the house, huh? Because, shouted Lindy, Marley, Freddie, Marlene, Charlene, Luther, Sophie, and Rashida, all caps again, this house is for everyone. And look at this. Look at how the illustrator finished our story. Before, where there was no rainbow above the playground, now there's just lots of colors in the playground and everybody playing in the house. What a good story. I read this story to you today because I wanted us to start thinking about our class rules. If we want our class or our house to be welcoming and accepting of everybody, what are some rules that we could make that would help us accomplish that goal? Take some independent work time and think about that. See you guys later.